Hello, everyone. It's an all-new episode here, the Treva and Kevin Show, and we're so glad that you're here. Welcome.
We are glad that you're here, and good morning to you and to you, Treva.
Great morning to you. Let's appreciate one another is our show.
Okay.
And family is important.
Yeah. You know, the truth is a family's a gift of God. You never know how long you'll have different members of your family together. So there's a season. The Bible talks about there's a season for everything. So enjoy the season that we're in.
Take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it.
And appreciate, get back to appreciating people for who they are. It's not about what people have, but it's about who they are. Appreciate for who they are, because sometimes you meet people and they're in a particular season, if you will. But if you stick around, you'll see that seasons, they just come and they go, and it will get better.
Yeah, the truth is that we're all in a season. So what is this season we're in right now? We're in a blessed season. There's no doubt about it. And so praise the Lord that we can celebrate these moments together. And if you've got some family members that are running around in the house, ask them, come on and share with us. We love to share with you.
Oh, yes, we love to share. So thanks for tuning in. Continue watching. We've got some great things coming up, to include some tips that we want to share. And plus, we want to send our love to everyone that was affected by the tornado down in Nashville and every surrounding part and area. Our prayers go out to everyone on the behalf of the Treva and Kevin Show. We'll be back with more right after.
Yes.
Be inspired, learn and grow. Reach up higher, joy in stereo. Come join the conversation. It's the Treva and Kevin Show.
Welcome back, our dear friends, and we call you friends today because you are.
So good to see you today.
It's great to be back.
Praise the Lord.
You know, friends and family, they're important, and we appreciate all of our friends and our family. And, you know, I do have some tips that help you stay connected.
Well,
if
lay
you
it
will.
on me. I want to hear something. Keep me on the positive.
There you go. Eat together and listen to one another. How important is that?
Well, I do think it's important. If I went back and said, Kevin, if you had life to do again, what would you do? I'd make eating at the table a priority. You know, in my fast-paced world, fast food. And I would work, and then I would go and catch up my rental business. And then when I left there, I went to my farming business. At one time, I had 5 farms, so I would drive through Mickey D's, get them in, go, and we just kept on working. But the children were doing their soccer and their dance. And
everyone was so busy.
But we always ate together on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay, what about read often?
Reading, another regret that I have, that I didn't take up reading until I was already in the law school. One of my regrets was I read so many law books. I felt guilty at one time that I didn't read the Bible enough. I was spending more time reading the law. And really, the law is the Bible. That's the real law book.
Yes, and I tell you, my mother, I'm grateful for her, because she would always make us read. She would make us read the Bible. She would say, go in there and read your Bible.
Yes.
I said, why do we always have to read the Bible? But now I know, because God tells us to hide the word in our heart,
that we might not sin against him. One of my pastor friends, he said, we got 2 rules at this church. I said, well, tell it, Pastor. He said, read your Bible and do what it says.
I like that.
Very simple. I understand it, and let's do it.
Okay, do chores together. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, I did get that done. I worked my children like dogs. I'll never forget one day the boys were out there and they were washing cars, Tree. It was so cold. It was freezing cold, and the boys' teeth were chattering, and they came up to the door and knocked and said, Daddy, can we come in and warm up? I said, yeah, tonight, and slammed the door. And my wife come around. She said, you can't do them that way. I said, just let them get back to the car. I'm trying to teach them something. They got out and they walked back up. And I said, y'all come up here. And I said, now, fellas, Daddy's hard on you, but Daddy loves you. Now, the world will be harder on you than Daddy. But if you can work for Daddy, you'll be able to fight this world. And they're both doctors today.
And you think about all of the valuable lessons and the things that our parents
have
taught us. I remember a time, one of the biggest things that I can think of is just being grateful and appreciation, showing appreciation. I recall a time where when I turned 16, my father, he purchased this beautiful bicycle, but I thought it was going to be a car, because I was at the age where I could drive.
Yes.
And so I told all of my friends, my daddy has a surprise for
Oh,
me.
my.
And so my friends began to follow me home, and they said, oh my gosh, you've got your car. I said, I've got my car. And so when I walked with all of these kids behind me, I got to my house, and there was this blue bicycle. My dad, my father, and my mother, they were so proud,
Yes.
but I was so just angry because I thought it should have been a
Oh,
car.
Brother
And so
Treva.
let me tell you the story. I complained about the bike. I
at you.
talked bad about the bike, spoke poorly even of my parents. And so a week had went past, and I took the bike I went for a ride. And do you know that bike was stolen?
Really?
In a week's time. And when I went home, I walked back home, and I was so sorrowful. I began to cry. My mother said, stop that crying, because when you had the bike, you didn't appreciate it.
I heard you.
Isn't that something?
It's a great
So I
lesson.
cried for something that I didn't even show love or appreciate, but then all of a sudden, I wanted the bicycle back.
Yes.
So we learned from our parents.
We learn from our mistakes.
Yes, we do. Family values.
Family values.
Now, what about helping out with schoolwork?
Well, now I was a little weak in that area.
Yes.
Rhonda did a great job. And what we noticed, Kevin Jr. never made a B. And Rhonda read to him, worked his homework, all that. And then Kenny, she worked with him, and then she became a principal.
Wow.
And then that demands all your time.
Yes, it does.
And so Katie didn't get as much attention as what the boys had got, because their mother was in a more responsible,
Yes.
called-on job.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
remember it.
Well, we're going to talk about more when we come back. We've got to wrap this segment up. But, man, I love talking about family and some things that we've done and sharing our stories with you. We'll be back with more Treva and Kevin Show.
Stay tuned.
Look what came in the mail for you.
Papa gonna love it.
I don't think you should give that to Papa.
Logan.
So what should we have for dinner tomorrow?
Sloppy hose.
All right, give it a go.
It's not working.
Are you throwing your invisible shoes?
Do I help?
I got him. I got him.
Okay. Good job.
Go get it! You almost got it! You almost got it!
Where is it?
Come here. Can you read this for me? Okay.
F
No, right here.
T O S T T O S. Jalapeno.
Get it, Barbara, get it. Thing. Yeah, you got it. Come on, Barbara, you can do it.
Rora, be a zombie. Be a zombie.
I'm gonna make a meme out of you.
Do you remember how to stop, Bubba? Oh my gosh, you okay?
Happy birthday to
You gotta say it. It's like, we don't book that one.
cookie.
Tell Daddy to make it for you.
A cookie.
Mommy needed toilet paper, so Isabella helped Mommy out. She's such a big girl. Such a big help.
Yes.
Yep, there she is. She helped Mommy out with all the toilet paper.
See you later.
That piece of paper, man.
Lady, you're on camera.
All right, we're back talking about the family. Family is important.
Yes. I'm still thinking about your bicycle story.
Oh, man.
That was
So what
more
do you
than
think the moral of the story of that? What did you get from
your parents should have got you a chain to go with that bicycle,
Oh.
and then we wouldn't be crying out there.
I'm telling you. And it makes us think about the things that we have, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a spouse, whether it's, a parent. How many times do we miss the mark by not showing our
Yes,
loved ones how
you're
much
good.
we appreciate them? And then when they're gone.
Yeah, you
it's
even
too late.
surprise me some days. Some days you have profound wisdom.
Always
that comes.
profound
The only
wisdom.
thing I can attribute that to is my training is beginning to kick in.
No, I tell you.
Yes, it's true.
Oh, my goodness.
Back to your list.
All right, so let's talk about, and we'll get back to you, doing chores together.
Yep, we did that.
Okay.
I really believe in working. We washed horses, we cleaned stalls, we washed cars.
Did you
Did all
wash
that.
dishes?
I was a little weak in that area.
Okay.
Yep,
Did you
but-
mop floors?
Well, remember, I owned lots of rental property, so
Okay.
I had to do a little bit of everything with all those houses.
And I love the story about something about the oven. You said you hadn't turned your oven on in 20 years.
Yeah, that's probably true. Mickey D's is all I knew. Was
a
get a
long
Big
time.
Mac and a Whopper and a
Wow,
Wendy's.
that's a long time.
That was a fast drive-through. No time to sit down. Got to hit it and get it.
What about starting a hobby or a project?
Well, in that, we had lots of horses.
Yes,
So every
that's
year
great.
there's new babies. They all
Okay.
have to be halter broken. They all have to be brushed. They all have to be wormed. So, hello, come in. Every year, every season, it's another day.
What about playing games, board games?
Well, we did a little of that
Sporting
at
events.
Christmas, and the kids were always in soccer, baseball, those things. So we
Okay.
went, and I'd holler and those kinds of things.
Or plan a family outing. These are all things that we're just bringing up suggestions, things that you can do even at this time with the COVID-19, spending time with your family. We
Yep.
want to encourage you because these days are, they're here, they are upon us.
And
so
they are
just sharing
precious.
some things from the heart. So what about a family outing? What's something you can do
Well-
when we're practicing social distancing?
Well, we could always have a picnic, go out in the yard and keep away from each
Okay.
other and have a picnic and chit-chat. I can remember 2 picnics, and they are profound.
Okay.
I owned a farm that had a beautiful pond, and one of the only memories I have for that farm, I worked on it all the time, was we had a family picnic near that little pond. It was a beautiful thing.
Wow. Okay. And of course, what would you like to say with Mother's Day and Father's Day? Still talking about family.
Hello,
Let's
come
talk,
in.
Let's touch base on
If
that.
your mother is alive, please go out of your way to see her and to speak to her. There will come a day, the odds are great, that you won't be able to do that, and you will have regrets, and you will remember the words of Kevin Kennedy, the lawyer, when he said, call them and talk to them. Express, you said it best, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Your mother made Christmas possible. And for those that had their mother home, she made Easter special and she
Yes.
cooked Thanksgiving dinner. And when you were little, she took you on Halloween trick or treat. So there was so much of your life that was attributed to a sacrificial mother.
And not just one day.
Come on.
Not just one day, but 365 all year long. I'm grateful for my mother. She's passed away many years ago, and I believe both of your parents have transitioned. And so I'm grateful for the relationship that I have with my father. My father, he recently married. He had a beautiful wedding last year, and I was blessed to attend that wedding at the age of 74.
Yes.
So it's never too late. His bride, his wife said, I never thought that God would grant me, a husband ever again. And at the age of 66, God did it for her, Miss Peggy, and my father. And so if you're out there and things that you've prayed about and been praying about, it's never too late. If you desire to go back to school, I'm thinking about going back to school and work on my master's and some other things. And so it's never too late.
Amen.
You may say, I want to purchase my first home.
When I think about my mother, I think about the word sacrificial.
Yes.
I can't tell you the times that she sacrificed her new things so that we could have. When I was going even to the law school, I was already 25, 26. I was working, paying tuition, doing all I could do. And I borrowed my mother's car, and she gave me her last 20. Now, you'll find this interesting. Kevin Kennedy, the lawyer, would drive to Nashville from Clarksville without 25 cents in my pocket. And the sandwich truck would come to the law school, and when they'd take a break, we'd go to class till 10, and it'd be 11 by the time I came home. And I'd love to get a sandwich. Are you listening? But I didn't even have 25 cents.
Wow.
And people said, well, Kevin, how foolish can you be? I said, well, it's really how broke can you be? So once I became a lawyer, my mother never bought another car. I was able to get her cars.
Wow.
And I got my mother a home.
Beautiful.
And so people would say, Kevin, you didn't even have a home for yourself. I had all these rental properties because I knew how to, but I didn't have one for myself. But I was able to, and do I regret any of it, Trey? Please tell the truth to this.
No, not at all.
No, you can't outgive God. And so I'm so grateful that I was able to give those to my mother, and she lived her life out with those gifts.
That is a blessing, and I hope and I pray that our stories are inspiring you about the importance of family and how, celebrate them. So what do you have? What about a situation, Kevin, where you have, let's flip that over, and perhaps a person is not in close contact with a family member, a loved one, a relative, because they did some horrible things to you.
Come in.
Let's be honest.
We must take a proactive approach. We must forgive. If you allow a root of bitterness to get inside you, it will rob you of the joy. Pull it out. Get rid of it.
Okay.
And, it's a hard thing when someone's really done you wrong to have forgiveness. Now, I didn't say embrace them and let them do you wrong again. I did say try to forgive them and acknowledge. And especially if it's family members. We've had some cases there where children would talk their parents into signing all their property over to one child and cutting out all the other children.
Wow.
Well, that's a hard pill to swallow. But I've been able to see several that love Jesus more than they love that land.
I see.
And they put it behind them.
Wow. And who would ever think that at that moment, during that time, that these situations will arise?
People will never dream it. You'll never dream what the future will unfold for any of us.
And sometimes I'm sure fights will break out.
Whoa!
Right
Can
there
you just
in the law
imagine?
firm. Come
well,
on.
we had a big fight. They were burying one, and the other part of the family went home and took all the furniture, all the guns, all the value while they were at the funeral.
Wow.
And so, we even had one time where they actually got in a fist fight at the funeral home.
At the funeral.
Do you believe me? Wow. So, you got to let the love of Christ
and you
help
can't
guide
take
you.
any of it with you.
Tell it one more time.
You can't take any
They
of
always
it
say,
with you.
hey, what about the U-Haul? Have you ever seen the U-Haul?
Never.
Behind a hearse? Never.
Never.
So they used to have a joke. They would talk about Elvis. How much money did he leave? Well, the answer's real easy. He left all of it. Took nothing with him when he left this world.
That's right. All right, we've got to take a break. Boy, this is awesome. We're going to come back with more of the Treva and Kevin Show. Thanks, Kevin.
Stay tuned.
All right, I hear the sirens.
So, woo,
You know what
woo,
time it is.
woo.
That means it's a legal question.
I
corner
got you
time.
covered.
So there's all this talk about, do I need a will? What do I do? I don't know anything about having a will. What do I do? Do I call a lawyer? What's the purpose? What's the benefit of having a will? Can I just write it down on a piece of paper?
Well, the truth of the matter is everybody should have a will.
Everybody?
Everybody. It's relatively inexpensive. And if you don't have one, you want to cause a real trouble in your family. You want to have problems with your children and your new wife or ex-wife, please have a will. Now, the truth of the matter is you can die intestate. That means you die without a will, and an administrator can be appointed and distribute your property. But wouldn't you rather leave it in a will and let someone handle the things that you want to handle? And if you had something special that meant something to you, wouldn't you want a loved one, whether it be a relative or a friend, to have that they might cherish your memory? And so absolutely unequivocally, can you write one out on a piece of paper? That's called a holographic will. In Tennessee, you can sit down and write it out, and you can sign it. But the truth is, those wills can be attacked, and if you have one executed properly with 2 witnesses and notarized, you draw down on most all of those problems. So I would tell anybody, and I would tell everybody, ask your mother and dad, do you have a will? Ask your children if they have a will. If they don't, it's a great Christmas present. Get it done. Everybody will sleep better. 2 more things to talk about. We have what's known as the durable power of attorney. Now, what that means is, if I gave one to Treva and I had a stroke tonight, Treva could handle my affairs. Without that document, somebody would have to file with the court and be more expensive, try to get control to pay my bills and get a conservatorship. That durable power of attorney can go beyond my incapacity. So you can pick a husband and wife, and if you've got them, a husband and wife, you should get one. One last thing. We talk about a medical power of attorney. What is that? That means should you and I have a car wreck on the way home, if you don't have that and we've got to make a decision on emergency surgery, do you want your spouse or loved one to make that decision, or do you want a hospital administrator to make that decision? Because it's life or death. And so those are some important things that we can do that makes a difference in your life. I'll guarantee you, you will live to regret the day you didn't have a will. And I will guarantee you, you solve a lot of problems and heartache that you could have prevented for your family for generations.
So once you,
if you did that.
So once you have the will in place, like, where do you put it up on the shelf in your closet?
I like
or
to
do you tell your kids?
I would give it to the administrator.
The administrator.
So if I were your administrator, I would take it and put it in a lockbox, or I'd put it in a safe, or I'd put it in a safe place that I would know where it is.
Okay.
And remember this, people say, well, what about changing your will? All I have to do is stand up, tear that will up. Treva didn't do me right. Tear it up, and I die without a will.
Wow.
And so some people say, okay, let's go execute the will. All the kids are there. They think they're going to get the farm, and they're going to get everything. And then they double-cross Daddy, and Daddy says, I'm writing a new will.
Wow.
I'm going to write them out.
And I remember, when I just think about my husband and his side of the family, man, they had it all together like that. And I remember when my husband and I first got married, like 26 years ago, and this would have been the 27th year, but when we got married 26 years ago, the first year, he said, Treva, he said, I wrote something down and I'm putting it away in a safe deposit box, and they put a lock on it. And I always wondered, what is in that thing? I just want, what do you mean? And he said, if something ever happens, go in there. And when I did, he just had everything where I could just understand it, like step 1, step 2, step 3. And so I feel like he's always with me because he helps me, because I would just be like a train wreck. My daughter said, Mama, if something happened to you, we couldn't find anything.
That's the truth.
Yeah. So,
I understand.
So I believe that is important.
It is. Well, we're out of time.
Oh, no.
Yes. So God
well, you know what that
y'all.
means?
Tell it.
We're going to come back next week and do it again, okay?
See you soon.
All
Get
right.
that will.
That's right. That was great. I like that.